In today's video, we're going to be going over a brand new PlayStation 5 leak that might be our first look at the DualShock 5 controller. I think the DualShock 5 is something that some people are very interested in, while the DualShock controller have generally stayed the same from the DualShock 1, 2, 3, and 4. They have seen slight refinements, and with the DualShock 5, we can expect that as well. Also, on top of that, speaking of the PlayStation 5, Final Fantasy XIV has been a very notable experience on the PS4. Of course, it was available on the PlayStation 3, and it looks like a PlayStation 5 version will be happening. And as far as PlayStation 5 games go, one RPG that I think is going to have a lot of buzz around it is Dragon Age 4. And BioWare's executive producer and Mark Dara has published a series of Dragon Age related tweets over the past 2 days, so I'll go over that at the end of this video. But first up, a little while ago, Twitter user Alcoholocaust shared a new PlayStation 5 leaked image. The picture shows 2 PlayStation 5 development kits which look exactly the same as the previous leak that confirmed the patent design uncovered by Let's Go Digital. However, a notable part of the leak is the DualShock 5 provisional name, as Sony didn't provide one yet, controller. While it is not nearly close enough to the camera to easily tell, there is one main detail that gives away it's probably not a DualShock 4, the absence of the light bar. As far as it was noted on WCCF Tech, the triggers may be larger and the sticks are a little different, just like in the patent design also unearthed by Let's Go Digital. There's also supposed to be a built-in microphone in the DualShock 5, though we can't really say with the leaked picture, as again, it's not right up close with the camera, so you can only tell so much. All in all, it does look very similar to the DualShock 4, however, that's generally what we expect out of the DualShock controllers. The controllers look very similar controller to controller, however, there are slight refinements and slight alterations that were introduced. I would say with the DualShock 3 and DualShock 4, there were pretty notable changes, with DualShock 3 introducing 6-axis, DualShock 4 introducing the touchpad and the light bar. Who knows what major refinements that the DualShock 5 will introduce, however, I can't expect that it would have something as major as that, because those changes were pretty notable. What we do know for sure about the DualShock 5 is what Sony officially shared a while ago. It'll feature a much more advanced haptics feedback capable of providing different sensations depending on the surface the player is on in the game, thanks for highly programmable voice coil audicators situated in the controller's grips. It has improved speakers, presumably to deliver improved audio straight from the controller. If you remember, the DualShock 4 does send audio in some games. Infamous Second Son is one of those games that had audio sent through the controller. The controller audio itself isn't the best, however, considering it's right up next to you, it's not really that big of a deal, and considering all of the audio wasn't being streamlined through the controller, it was never a big issue. However, if it does have improved speakers, that's definitely something to be excited about. And the DualShock 5 also has adaptive triggers offering different levels of resistance in order to provide the proper tension when knocking an arrow in a bow, for instance. Its battery is said to be larger than that of the DualShock 4, and the DualShock 4 is one of the weaker battery lives. If you actually compare it to the Xbox One, the Xbox One has a far stronger battery life for its controllers. However, the Xbox One also does use batteries, so that's something to note. But I would like to see a sizable improvement upon the DualShock 4's battery. I don't think that's something a lot of you guys picked up on, because the DualShock 4 still probably has, what, 15 to 20 hours of battery life, but comparatively speaking to the other controllers, it is on the lower end, and it will be charged through USB-C. However, the downside is that all of these improvements will make the DualShock 5 a bit heavier than the DualShock 4. However, it will ultimately still be slightly lighter than the Xbox One controller with batteries, so it is still going to be a pretty light controller. If you're going to complain about the DualShock 5's controller weight, I don't really think that's a major complaint people should be having, but who knows, people have complained about way less in the past, so we'll see how everything turns out. However, it's pretty exciting to see all of the PlayStation 5 information trickle out, and as is expected, we should get an official revelation about everything come February. Obviously, we've had some official pieces of information come out, but nothing really pertaining to the entirety of the console, game lineup, the console look itself, because the dev kit is the dev kit. It's ultimately going to look a lot different than how the dev kit looks. Honestly, the dev kit is pretty disgusting, so if the dev kit was the final console, that would be pretty freaking disappointing, but ultimately, I don't think that is going to be the case. We'll keep you posted on all of the ongoings about the PlayStation 5, and one game I would love to see on the PlayStation 5, that is Final Fantasy XIV. Final Fantasy XIV has been one of the staple games not only to the PlayStation 4, but yes, going back to the PlayStation 3 as well. I remember playing Final Fantasy XIV on the PlayStation 3, and FF14 on the PS4 has been a great experience. And also on WCCF Tech, it was noted by Chris Ray, last week I was able to have a lengthy conversation with Naoki Yoshida, the director and and lead producer of Final Fantasy XIV, in addition to talking about the history of the game, how it was developed into the powerhouse it is now through the fan-focused game design and more, we also spoke about the future of the game. Our conversation on the game itself will be covered in later pieces, it was noted, so stay tuned to WCCF Tech if you do want to be kept up to date on that. Specifically, Ray asks, over just expanding the game, do you see a way of expanding the audience through new platforms, for example, bringing Final Fantasy XV to Microsoft consoles, and with Google Stadia launching, do you have any plans to move to this as well? Yoshida responded saying, our basic policy is to reach out to as many players as possible, and we wish to expand onto any available device in the market. Another big policy I have is that whatever device the player is using, we want to make sure that cross-platform is there so there are no divisions, a world where everyone can join whether or not you are using a different device. Talking about the Xbox, we have been having a long and hard discussion with them. We had a different set of policies between us which can be a restriction to working together. That was the biggest roadblock to expanding the service on Xbox recently. As you may have noticed, those restrictions are away now. We hope that we will be in the stage to make positive announcements in the near future. Also, it was added, so you said you hope to be in a good position to make an announcement in the future. Could we expect that this would be for the next generation of consoles, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Scarlett? Yoshida responded, yes, you could expect that it would be for those. There's also some other tidbits in the interview, and I'll leave a link to the article in the description box below. Final Fantasy XIV has been one of the standout MMO experiences, and honestly, one of the standout multiplayer experiences, all things considered, and it's always one of those games that I go back to whenever somebody says, oh, this game is irrecoverable, this game is dead, there's no coming back for XYZ game. I always point to Final Fantasy XIV, and you remember what that game was prior to A Realm Reborn? It was a disaster, one of the biggest disappointments of a game launch in the last 10 years. I don't think it's any bit of a stretch to say that at all. Final Fantasy XIV was a colossal disappointment, but ultimately, Square Enix remained committed to it, and now we have Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn. Now we have a bunch of expansions, and now it's one of the most popular MMOs on the market, and one of the best MMOs on the market, so it's very exciting to see how this game has developed over the years, and with a release on the PlayStation 5, that's only going to continue that growth. Of course, with the PS5, it's not as big of an imperative since we are expected to have backwards compatibility on that, so yes, the PS5 will for sure offer better performance, better technical aspects, but ultimately the game is the game, and the PS4 version will be playable on the PS5. And lastly, a game that I hope will be playable on the PS5 and doesn't get cancelled or get pushed to the PS6 or whatever, barring any disaster, is of course Dragon Age 4, and BioWare executive producer Mark Dara published a series of Dragon Age related tweets over the past 2 days, and we can't really tell if he's actually teasing something or conducting some kind of social media experiment, probably a little bit of both. Mark Dara specifically noted Dragon Age, then followed up with a tweet, Dragon Age question mark with an image, then Dragon Age with an exclamation point, and then he rounded out by saying, you are all highly engaged by 2 words. What is going to be in the news tomorrow? What have I implied? What have I promised? What have I done? That was posted on November 27th, and we still haven't gotten much information on Dragon Age 4, but hopefully that drops soon. I don't think Dragon Age 4 is one of those games that we're going to hear much about in the near future, just because we know that this game isn't going to be out for a very long time, as late as like 2022, and if we're talking about release windows that far away, you know, there's always the chance that the game is going to get delayed a little bit. We've had games from BioWare get delayed a couple months before launch, like I believe one of the Mass Effect titles had been delayed pretty close to launch. I don't remember if it was Andromeda or Mass Effect 3, but whatever the case may be, it definitely saw a delay, and with a game being planned for as late as 2022, wouldn't be surprised at all if it got shifted to a 2023 title, or just how development evolves in a game that's this far away. I don't want to get too excited, but I do hope that BioWare can return to form with the release of Dragon Age 4, whatever they ultimately decide to call the game, because it is going to be really important with their next game. After the train wreck that was ME Andromeda, after the train wreck that was Anthem, it is so important that their next game absolutely delivers. It's a home run. At the very least, it's a very good game. Maybe it's not that elite level RPG that a prime BioWare would deliver, but at the very least, we need a very good RPG here. We need something to get the taste of the last few BioWare titles out of our mouth, and I think a new quality Dragon Age title could be exactly that. If you want to ease the weight a little bit, maybe do a remastered collection, maybe do a Mass Effect remastered collection, Dragon Age remastered, whatever, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, that's all stuff I would love to see, and that's all stuff that seems a license to print money. That's just my 2 cents. We'll see if BioWare and EA eventually do that. But that's gonna conclude this video. A new PlayStation 5 leak seems to have leaked the DualShock 5 controller. We don't have a ton of details on that, but it'll be exciting to see the development on that. Final Fantasy XIV will probably eventually be released on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Scarlett, and as far as Dragon Age goes, we should hear more about that pretty soon. However, I wouldn't get your hopes up in expecting something substantial given the fact that the game is still a long ways away. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.